everybody, it is the Lawn Gnome and welcome back to your favorite segment over here on my channel, Out of the Vault. If you are new, let me just say welcome. It is a pleasure to have you, even though I'm not really producing much content these days. And for all of you who are still here and still waiting for these types of videos, I really do appreciate you guys coming back to discuss the magic of Disney. The magic of Disney. That is definitely a strange thing to say these days, based on everything that Disney has been doing. You see it in the news, you see it on social media. Disney has not been in one of the best spots, and I have talked about it a little bit from time to time, but we're not going to be talking about that today. What we are going to be talking about may in fact be the best movie of 2024, at least the one that I've seen, and that, of course, is the, at least in my eyes, very much anticipated sequel to one of the smarter Disney Pixar films. We are talking about the 28th film in the Disney Pixar library, just 1 year before the 10th anniversary of the 2015 film Inside Out. We get Inside Out 2. The story of a girl named Riley and the 5 major emotions that live in her head: joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust. But this time, there's a little bit more to this story, and there are a couple of new emotions that are invading Riley's head because of one very important thing. Riley is growing up. So I will say that there are certain times where I have had discussions with people about Disney Pixar movies, and I said to people, there are certain Disney Pixar movies that definitely needed a sequel, and then there are those that didn't. I mean, did Finding Nemo need a sequel? No. But we got a very charming film in Finding Dory. Did we need a prequel for Monsters Incorporated in Monsters University? Well, considering the fact that it spawned into Monsters at Work, maybe these days I will say yes. Did we need a couple of sequels to Toy Story? At least up until the third one, yes. But did we need a sequel to Inside Out? Absolutely. The way that the first film ended, you were just dying to see what would happen if Anger pressed that brand new big red button on the dashboard at headquarters. Well, we finally get to see what happens when that big red button goes off. So Riley is heading to high school, and she has now officially been invited with 2 of her very good friends to a hockey camp for the purposes of getting drafted onto the high school team, one of the most well-known and beloved teams in the local San Francisco area, and also some of the players that Riley very much admires. And she has some very big choices to make. Is she going to play her heart out and get accepted by a whole new group of kids and leave her friends behind? Or is she going to believe and remind herself that she is a good friend to the people who have found her to be their absolute best friend for many, many years? And while that is happening, she gets a whole new bunch of emotions. She gets emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, ennui, aka boredom, and envy. And the question's going to be, what are the decisions that Riley is going to make based on these new emotions in her head, and how are these emotions going to clash with the ones that have guided her all these years? I was very much excited for this film ever since I first heard that it was happening, because I wanted a sequel, like I said so before. And now that I have officially seen it, and I'm glad that I did, based on all of the news saying that Disney is back to form, the fact that they gave us a sequel that was definitely worthy of Pixar magic, and everybody saying Disney's back, baby, blah, blah, blah. Even if that's not going to be the case moving forward, Inside Out 2 is an absolute gem. This was a phenomenal movie, and that is coming from someone who did not think that the first movie was perfect. I actually reviewed Inside Out 2 times, so what you're going to see in the box below is my Out of the Vault episode of Inside Out. And there's a very important thing that we're going to discuss in this video that is linked to that previous Out of the Vault episode. So there were a couple of things that people were a little bit nervous about. One of the major facts was that Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling were not returning to voice disgust and fear. But the truth of the matter is, when you get into the movie and the story really starts to take its course, you really forget the fact that the voices, while they may sound a little bit different, they're really not a major significant part of the story. Now, granted, to replace Bill Hader was Tony Hale, and Tony Hale did a really good job at voicing fear, but I also feel that if it might have been Amy Poehler, Lewis Black, or Phyllis Smith that was replaced, it definitely would have been noticed and just not as good. So, Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling, you know what? You guys were great in the first one, but I really didn't miss you. I'm sorry. There were also some really great callbacks to the original film, especially some of the most hilarious parts of the first film, because we also have to take into consideration, while a whole new generation was probably coming to see this movie, there were a lot of people that were much younger that actually did see the very first Inside Out in theaters. So this was a nice thing to be welcomed back by these characters, but at the same time also seeing these characters evolve just like the fans are growing up and evolving just like Riley. The story is wonderful. The comedy is on point. There was a moment in this movie where my wife and I just couldn't stop laughing, and it's also because of the fact that we have a 2-year-old that is watching certain children-friendly television shows that were very much being parodied in this specific scene, and we just absolutely thought it was a stroke of brilliance while we were watching this, especially even when it just seemed that it was going to be this one scene, and then there were a couple of other scenes that we just didn't expect that just drove the plot forward. Also, I have to give the biggest of props to Maya Hawke. Ever since she showed up in Stranger Things as Robin, she has just been shooting to the top and being asked to voice Anxiety. Bravo, Pixar. You guys did a great job casting her because she embodied this emotion, and just her intentions for Riley were just so interesting and deep. That's the thing that makes this movie so strong. It is deeper, it is clever, it is so many other things, but there's one specific reason and one specific thing as to why I find this movie to be absolutely wonderful. In my review of Inside Out, my very first one and my Out of the Vault episode, I said the following: I can't give this a perfect score because I think that it's missing that certain something. Everyone, Inside Out 2 gave me that missing something. I now know what it is. It was the relatability to the character of Riley. Riley was very plain and very ordinary and very generic. We didn't get a chance to see her develop in the first Inside Out movie, because of the fact that this is a specific point in Riley's life and a very important part of Riley's life, going from preteen to teen, and the fact that she reaches certain crossroads and has to make certain decisions and wonders if they are the right decisions based on her morals and beliefs. We get a very emotional, deep, relatable character in Riley, and I related to this character. I loved the fact that we also saw a lot more of Riley and not just the emotions. Not that the emotions are bad characters, they are Disney icons now, but we got so much more of Riley in this movie, and that is what Inside Out was missing 14 years ago. And my God, a movie that I knew deserved a great sequel. We got an incredibly great sequel. One that I really feel will end up being the best animated film of 2024 unless DreamWorks' The Wild Robot, which I'm very much looking forward to, truly wows me. But this movie, you know, knowing that I don't get to go to the theaters that often as I used to, knowing that every single time I have sat in a theater in 2024 and had an incredibly wonderful movie-going experience, I'm so glad that Inside Out continued that trend. I loved this movie. I think it is 10 times better than the first Inside Out film. I cannot wait to see this movie again. I cannot wait to own this movie on Blu-ray, and I am giving Inside Out 2 4 stars out of 4. And I am going to be absolutely certain that I will not change my mind on this. This movie gave me what I wanted from Inside Out, and I'm so glad that it did. Could there possibly be an Inside Out 3? I don't think that there was much of a potential leading towards an Inside Out 3 as there was for Inside Out 2, but you know something? If they keep pushing forward, if they keep giving us more opportunities to see Riley continuing to grow, I think that we can get another very successful film, and maybe one that may surpass Inside Out 2, but who knows? Either way, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and don't forget to stay till the very end of the film. I will say one little thing about Pixar. I am a little upset about the fact that we don't get shorts anymore, but the fact that we got a very, very cute post-credit scene in Inside Out 2, it's definitely worth the wait. And it's funny because of the fact that you already know what it's going to be, even if you don't know or someone didn't spoil it for you already. You're going to know exactly what it is, and it's exactly what you want. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss Inside Out 2, and I will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, feel free to leave a comment. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to be up to date with our latest videos. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.